The Entlebucher Sennenhund or Entlebucher Mountain Dog is a medium-sized herding dog. It is the smallest of the 4 regional breeds that constitute the Sennenhund dog type. The name Sennenhund refers to people called Senn, herders in the Swiss Alps. Entlebuch is a region in the canton of Lucerne in Switzerland. The breed is also known in English as the Entlebucher Mountain Dog, Entlebucher Cattle Dog, and similar combinations. The Entlebucher Mountain Dog is a sleek-haired hustler who will gladly accompany you on morning jogs in the park or on a beach weekend. If you are looking for a pet with whom you can share your interest in sports records, then Entl will not disappoint here either. Dexterous and quick-witted, this comrade easily masters any tricks, subject to systematic training under the guidance of the owner. In rare moments of rest, the Entlebucher also does not sleep and vigilantly monitors everything that is happening in his field of vision and reach. So you can trust him with the protection of the apartment and your own peace of mind without question. The representatives of the breed report extremely loudly about unauthorized entry into the territory. Highlights. The breed is considered very rare. Its main livestock is concentrated in Switzerland, Austria, and Germany. In the 19th century, the main occupation of dogs was grazing cattle. And although modern individuals have moved away from this work, from time to time they remember their own destiny, making attempts to graze and bite the legs of the members of the family in which they live. Despite the short coat, Entlebucher Mountain Dogs feel uncomfortable in hot weather, preferring to sit in the shade and cool down in shallow ponds and pools. Frisbee, agility, biking, and other sports, including swimming, are well received by animals and help to dampen herding instincts. Representatives of this family are ultra-energetic and always bark loudly if a stranger invades their territory. For this reason, the breed is not recommended for phlegmatic owners who are not ready to be in contact with a pet for a long time, as well as to actively walk it. Controlling the seething energy of the Entlebucher Mountain Dog is real only after it has completed a course of obedience. If you do not plan to spend time training your pet, it is better not to acquire such a dog at all. On the thematic forums, fans of the breed call the Entlebucher Sennenhund simply Entl. The short coat of the Entlebucher Sennenhund is self-cleaning and does not need frequent brushing and washing, as well as show grooming. History of the breed Entlebucher Mountain Dog. The breed got its hard-to-pronounce name in honor of the Entlebuch Valley, located in the Swiss cantons of Bern and Lucerne. At first, small herding dogs were classified as a clan of the Appenzeller Sennenhund, who had the same working qualifications and an identical coat color. It was only in 1913 that the breeds were delimited, entering the Entlebuchers into herd books as an independent variety of Swiss mountain dogs. With the outbreak of the First World War, the work on pumping the exterior and working qualities of animals came to naught. And when a few years later the breeders again became interested in the Entlebuchers, it turned out that only a few of the purebred specimens survived the war. Dr. B. Kobler was most active in restoring the population of small mountain dogs. For a purebred breeder pair, the enthusiastic breeder traveled all over Switzerland, eventually settling on a bitch named Babelli, who gave rise to the modern Entl branch. In 1926 the first breed club was opened. A year later, its representatives underwent standardization, having received the official right to breed and participate in exhibitions. The development of the Entlebucher Sennenhund genus proceeded rather slowly, therefore, specimens that were standard in terms of appearance and temperament began to appear only in the second half of the 20th century. One of such exemplary dogs was the dog Much, the international champion, who in the 60s collected all the prizes at the Swiss, German and international breed shows. Appearance and dimensions. The Entlebucher is the smallest of all mountain dogs and looks like a pinscher. The dog is of medium size. The body is elongated and compact. Males at the withers are 48 to 53 centimeters, bitches are smaller 45 to 50 centimeters in height. The weight of an adult dog, as a rule, is 20 to 30 kilograms, although it may differ depending on the state of health and age. Entlebucher is powerful, strong, can knock an adult off his feet. Description of the breed: the head is wedge-shaped in proportion to the body, the muzzle is shorter than the skull, wide, powerful. The lines of the forehead and muzzle are parallel. The nose is always black, rectangular. The lips completely hide the lower jaw. Strong teeth. The neck is wide and strong. The back is long. The ears are medium, wide, set high. The shape is triangular with rounded tips hanging down the cheeks. Eyes with black eyeliner are small, almond-shaped, brown. The look is serious, intelligent. The tail of most representatives is short by nature. For some, it can be long, curved, low set. Show dogs dock their tail. The coat is double, a thick and short undercoat and a stiff upper shirt, close to the body. Most often it is straight, but it can be slightly wavy. The color characteristic of all Swiss Shepherd dogs is the tricolor. Very often, puppies of the Entlebucher Mountain Dog are born with defects in color. Such dogs are not admitted to exhibitions. Many people confuse the Entlebucher Mountain Dog and the Entlebucher Mountain Dog breed. The nature of the Entlebucher Mountain Dog. Despite the fact that the Entlebucher Sennenhunds formerly tied with herding and guard activities, the working instincts of the breed have not disappeared anywhere and often remind of themselves. A striking example of this is the dog's attitude toward strangers and the territory in which it lives. A real Entl will not let a suspicious creature, be it a person or an animal, into its possessions and certainly will not start wagging its tail in front of a stranger when he persistently seduces with a treat. By the way, representatives of the family bark loudly and basso, which does not fit in with their compact size. A distinctive feature of a healthy thoroughbred Entlebucher Sennenhund is the desire for an active, eventful life. Therefore, when bringing a tricolor Swiss to your house, get used to the fact that you will have to play with the wart often and a lot. You shouldn't be too careful and afraid of the hurricane behavior of the pet. Entlebuchers are not prone to destructive behavior, and the house turned upside down is not a story about them. Of course, there are exceptions to the general rule, but more often than not, the destructive actions of the animal are associated with a lack of education or the wrong relationship between the owner and the dog. The Entlebucher Mountain Dog is an outgoing and communicative dog, but only within the family in which he lives. With the household, the pet comes off in full, participating in any movement with the participation of familiar faces. For this reason, dog handlers recommend carefully measuring the communication of a four-legged prankster with babies who are not at least 6 to 7 years old. The average Entlebucher does not recognize the difference between an adult and a child and sometimes sins with overly emotional leaps and educational biting on the legs, habits that have survived from those immemorial times when his ancestors drove sheep. Entl does not have a special desire to make friends with other animals, but if there is a live dog party planned, it will gladly take part in it. The breed also does not like to let down rudeness, so if some wolfhound barked your ward, the response to aggression will follow immediately. Especially intolerant of provocations girls, they are at times more selfless to protect the owner and his family members in the event of a direct external threat. The peaceful neighborhood of the Entlebucher Mountain Dog with the rest of the dogs and pets is possible, provided that all representatives of the fauna share the living space from early childhood. For example, the lively natives of the Lucerne valleys are not averse to running around with the hounds. So if you keep representatives of other breeds at home, do not isolate them from the Entl, let them learn to be friends and get used to each other. Education and training. On the one hand, the Entlebucher Mountain Dog is smart and savvy, and on the other hand, he is far from always ready to demonstrate his outstanding abilities to others. At first, you will have to understand and accept outbursts of disobedience and stubbornness. To start, as in the case of other breeds, you need to socialize. Once the puppy has received the mandatory vaccinations and permission from the veterinarian to go out, accustom him to unfamiliar sounds and phenomena. The flow of people, the noise of public transport, other dogs, all this is a new experience for the baby, which, over time, should become commonplace and an external backilogramsround. The second stage, often going along with socialization, is education. Teach your pet not to be on duty with an open mouth at the table when the family is having dinner. Establish a system of prohibitions and restrictions in games. Do not bite, do not pull objects with your teeth, and try to meet the norms of household etiquette before the puppy turns 6 months old. Beginning at 4 months of age, adolescents enter the phase of disobedience, which lasts up to a year, so that during this period the animal obeys and absorbs new information worse. An important nuance is behavior on the street. If you notice that on walks, the Entlebucher barks at approaching strangers, you do not need to shout, pull the dog by the collar or calm passers-by. This is how the pet implements the protective instinct. However, it is necessary to resolve the situation in order to avoid conflicts with people. As soon as the four-legged security takes a defensive position, quickly move away from the passerby in which the pet sees a threat. The dog will quickly realize that the owner does not need protection and will rush after you. Cynologists recommend influencing the Sennenhund's Entlebucher with positive reinforcement, caress, portions of delicacies, but at the same time extinguish all inclinations to leadership. Yes, Entl is an excellent shepherd and watchman, but a person should remain the owner and alpha in the house. If time and finances permit, try to be like group lessons with Entlebucher, or better like individual lessons with an instructor. In such lessons, dogs learn faster and more willingly, and the owner will be able to adopt several educational techniques from the pros in order to use them in the future. Remember, the breed masters almost any course, from the traditional OKD and ending with circus programs, if it has an experienced mentor who understands canine psychology, the owner or a professional dog handler. Maintenance and care. Entlebucher with the same comfort is able to live both in a country house and in a city apartment if the owner walks him fully and gives him the opportunity to throw out energy in work and sports. Indoors, the dog should have its own bed, and although some individuals are more willing to roll on the floor than on soft beds, it is imperative to teach them to rest on a mattress. Otherwise, get ready to deal with calluses that arise from constant skin contact with a hard surface. If you are planning to travel with Entl by car, you should consider buying a waterproof auto hammock, which helps to minimize damage to the interior if the dog suddenly wants to slobber the doors or sharpen its claws on the seat. It is advisable to take the pet out into the street at least 3 times a day, in the morning and in the evening for a full-fledged long walk, and in the afternoon for 10 to 15 minutes to make a pre-dinner toilet. In hot weather, Entlebucher Mountain Dogs quickly overheat and get tired, so in summer it is better to walk the dog in the dew or in the late evening. If you notice that after the promenade the animal still suffers from the heat, it is useful to wipe its stomach and paws with a damp towel. When the water in the rivers and lakes has warmed up enough, the 4-legged companion can be allowed to swim. The breed loves such procedures and is not averse to cooling off on a hot day. After swimming, be sure to check for moisture in the dog's ears, and at home rinse the pet's fur under running water to exclude the ingress of microorganisms from stagnant bodies of water on it. Entlebucher Sennenhund puppies love to play with objects, so on the street they try to pick up sticks and branches, sometimes privatizing toys of other people's dogs. To prevent the latter from happening, buy the ward's personal balls and tweeters and take them for a walk. It is recommended to walk with puppies and immature teenagers before the first signs of fatigue appear. Keeping in mind the vigor of the breed, many owners try to exhaust the animal as much as possible while walking, which is fundamentally wrong. The dog should not fall down from fatigue every time it returns home. This is harmful to both her psyche and health. Hygiene. Like all short-haired breeds, the Entlebucher Mountain Dog does not need expensive professional grooming. It is enough to walk the dog's body with a rubber mitten once a week to collect dead hairs and dust that has become magnetized to them. An exception is the period when the puppy's coat and undercoat change to adult coat. At this time, the breed sheds intensively and requires daily combing, so many owners connect a furminator to the case, which helps to effectively pull the cotton layer of the dead undercoat. Feeding. There is no consensus as to what type of food is suitable for a particular Entlebucher Sennenhund, so some breeders feed their wards with natural products and some with super premium dry food. As for the latter option, it will have to be selected individually. The food that suits one dog may be poorly absorbed by the body of another. Health and disease of the Entlebucher Sennenhund. The life expectancy of an average Entlebucher is 11 to 16 years. From a genetic point of view, the breed is considered healthy, since the list of hereditary diseases detected in its representatives is relatively small. So, for example, the most common problem of Entlebucher Sennenhund is eye ailments such as cataracts, retinal atrophy and goniodysplasia. Before mating animals, it is advisable to examine for genetic dysplasia of the hip and elbow joints, which subsequently passes from producers to offspring. The danger of this pathology lies in the fact that it is practically impossible to diagnose it at an early age. The first symptoms of dysplasia make themselves felt no earlier than the dog turns a year and a half. It is very rare, but nevertheless, in Entlebucher Sennenhund, ectopia of the ureters occurs, a disease accompanied by chronic urinary tract infections and incontinence, in the absence of timely treatment, leading to death. Females are more susceptible to ectopia, although males from the risk group are also not excluded. By the way, testing breeding animals for this pathology is a mandatory item in most European countries. How to choose a puppy. Before you get to know the puppies, check how many times their mother brought offspring. Responsible breeders do not breed breeders every year, so the fewer litters a breeder has, the better. Find out what the seller feeds the Entlebucher Sennenhund puppies. If you are shown a cheap drying from the supermarket, it makes no sense to expect to get a healthy dog in such a place. Examining your favorite individual, check with the breed standard. Yellow-eyed babies with soft fur can also be cute, but such dogs are not allowed to breed and participate in exhibitions. Despite the fact that tribal commissions recognize Entls with both short and long tails, it is better to choose representatives of the second category, since in recent years they are considered the more correct line. Choose a breeder who does not skimp on medical tests and is ready to present the results of screening producers for hereditary diseases at the first request of the buyer. Never book puppies by photo. To understand how the animal meets the breed standard, you can only get to know him live. The ideal option is to look at and evaluate the uniformity of the exterior of the entire litter. Entlebucher Sennenhund price. The most reliable, and at the same time financially costly way is to purchase an Entlebucher Sennenhund puppy in European nurseries, where a better breeding base and with the breed itself work longer. Puppies will cost from $600 to $1,000 depending on the titles of the producers and the quality of the exterior of the animals themselves.